view. So please make sure you are logging in. This program enables us to answer questions on the presentation, so we can all interact together and whatnot. So it is also, when you put questions, your answers in, it's all anonymous. So it's a really good resource. Still waiting on about 3 people. All right. While we are waiting on those individuals to get logged in, make sure you just keep this your tab open once you log in, and also this Meet. You should be able to see everything if you just look at your tab that you logged in on for Pear Deck. But it is up to you how you set that up. Once again, there is the link if you need to join. I'm missing 4 students. Okay. So we did complete our warm-up. Then we're going to go over some general reminders. And then today, we are going to focus on some academic writing skills. And these skills are things that not everyone has issues with. You might have an issue with one thing and not with another one. But it's just a general refining of your skills day. We're not going to write anything new today. We're not going to do any research today. So it's also kind of a middle of the course kind of breather. And that will get us into our last essay, which we'll start writing next week, or working on next week. All right. So to get started, for general reminders, all of this is based off of what I've been seeing in the essays that have been turned in for rough drafts. First and foremost, please make sure you're following the requirements of the essay. All right. I had about 3 or 4 students who weren't sure or didn't understand that we needed 2 articles on this essay, this critical analysis essay. If I were to receive that for the final draft, I would return it to you and allow you to turn it back in. Obviously, late points would be taken off. But I would not initially grade it. It would be a 0. All right. So please make sure you are following the expectations of the assignment. And if you're not sure what's going on, please double check with me. Triple check, quadruple check, it's okay. And then additionally, at Gateway, we do have a really awesome writing center, and you can meet in person or online. On your Pear Deck, you should be able to click that link if you want to open it up, but you don't have to. And then last but not least, it is very important that you read and try to implement all of your feedback. So I had a conversation with Kelly already this morning that you don't have to accept all of the feedback that they've left you. But generally, if you have multiple reviews and they're all saying the exact same thing, then that might be something you really should look at to edit and revise before you turn in that final draft. And especially if it's something that when I leave your review and your grade or note, if it's something that I mention, it's definitely something you should fix. So it is important that you're reading all of your information. So the annotations that are left within your paper, as well as the comments, on the graded paper and the rubric comments as well. So make sure you're checking all of those places. Does anybody have any questions about that? Yes, Anna.
I can't. Oh, wait, never mind. Okay, my thing wasn't like going with the PowerPoint.
Oh,
So.
okay. You got it now, though?
Yeah, it's working now. Thank
All right,
you.
awesome. Okay. Sarah, here is the link where we're at. Please go ahead and log into it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on our skills practice. Now, our skills practice may go a lot faster than I have planned out, and if we end early, then that is 100% okay. But we are definitely going to be focusing on this today. All right. So on the tab that you opened up and signed in on for this Pear Deck, there should be a little box next to the slide that allows you to type in. So in that box, please go ahead and answer this. After reviewing your feedback, so you're going to need to get into your feedback for this critical analysis essay, type 1 to 2 questions you may have about that feedback, or you can just tell me what the feedback was. All right. I will give you about 5 minutes to do this. Oh, I'll give you 8 minutes until 8:30. So you have time to look through all of your feedback. About 4 more minutes. I am reading your answers. I'm not sharing with the whole group. This is just giving me an idea of what I should focus on in our practice today.
How do we submit it? Do you automatically see it on there or?
Yeah, you don't have to hit enter or anything like that. I automatically see it. I can see you guys working and typing. All right, about 1 more minute. All right, while you're finishing up typing that, there are a few things that we're not going to specifically cover that I do want to talk about on this slide. So essay number 2, you have to have 2 articles in it. So that means you have 2 sources in the references page. And then you talk about the one article in one body paragraph. The second article is talked about in the second body paragraph. All right. And then the third body paragraph is where you are basically analyzing the argument of both of those articles and coming to your conclusion in it. And then that takes us to the conclusion paragraph, which I saw a few people who had quotes in the conclusion paragraph. The conclusion paragraph is not something where we introduce new information. So there shouldn't be new quotes. anything new from sources. It's literally just a wrap up. You're restating the thesis to say, basically saying, boom, I proved my point. This is what the paper was about. It's a nice bookend. Then you're basically giving a quick summary of your main points in a few sentences, and then you have a final statement, which is either a call to action or a final observation, something like that. So those are the two things that we're not really going to cover in our skills practice that are important to writing this essay specifically. Everything else that I think everybody mentioned is something that we're going to cover today. Oh wait, hold on a second. Okay, let me show you really quick because I did have one question. So when I say 2 articles in essay 2, the readings on education, you should have at least two of these used. All right. So if you had income, wealth, and education, that's 1 article. You have to use another one. So that is the example for that. All right. So let's get started on the skills practice. The first thing we're going to talk about is a claim or a thesis statement. All right. So most everybody had a really good thesis statement, but there's some refining that we can work on. So a thesis statement, or let me start first. A claim in general is an answer drawn from your observations. So if you have a prompt for an essay or a question for an essay, essentially what a claim is your answer. All right. So once you have that answer, that claim, to make it a thesis statement, you have to give me reasons why you made that claim. Okay. So a claim is essentially something you will prove with evidence. And the equation for a thesis statement is the claim plus reasons you made the claim. I had a few, just a second, Kelly. I had a few students who had questions in the place of a thesis statement. And there were a few other variations. Questions were something that you might have used in high school or in other classes, but in academic writing, we try to stay away from using questions as the thesis statement. The thesis statement, it should be a statement. And Kelly, what's your question?
So when we're writing a thesis statement and providing evidence of that, it's not necessarily you don't really have to elaborate on the opposite point of view. So like my question was, if my thesis statement was about how education impacts, how getting education impacts happiness, I don't really have to incorporate how the lack of education affects happiness as well. I can just stick to my original thesis statement.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It is okay to mention that later in the paper, as further proof that having it, because it's the opposite of what we want, that your thesis is that education affects your success and wealth positively. So you can still bring it into the paper, but it does not have to be mentioned in the thesis statement. And if it were argumentative, if you were trying to prove and say you have to go to college because it gives you an education and you'll be more successful in life, You can also have another body paragraph that is the counter argument. So this is discussing what everybody against your argument is saying. And basically you rebut it. But that is not this essay at all. All right, any other questions on this slide before we go on? All right. So a claim, like I said, can be developed from a prompt, a question, or if you're actually reading something, you can get the main claim out of that, the thesis statement out of that. Ignore it. Claims are always the first sentence of an answer. This is actually, your thesis statement is at the end of your introduction. I use this for another class for another assignment, so ignore that. All right. But once again, with your thesis statement, don't put I think or I believe in there. I think this. 9 times out of 10, the sentence will make complete sense if you deleted the I think or I believe type words. And we discussed that and kind of practiced that last week. All right. So we're going to do a couple of questions on this. So why or how does the claim not answer the prompt? So the prompt are apples better for cooking or for eating or cooking, and why? So it says apples are better for eating is the claim or thesis statement. So why is this not a good thesis statement? And this, you can choose the text box and just put the text down here at the bottom.
Can you see that? Like, I just added it to the slide. I don't really know what I did. I just added it to the slide. Am I supposed to press
Nope, you're
something
good.
else?
You're good. I got it.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and show 2 responses. It's okay if you weren't finished. But essentially, the answer here, it's not a good thesis statement because it does not provide a reason as to why apples are better for eating. Absolutely. It took the position that it wanted to argue, but it doesn't explain why. All right. Also, it is too generalized. It's a very general statement. Now, I understand, obviously, this is a very basic setup, but it's just to give you an idea of what I mean about including reasons in your thesis statement. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one. All right, go ahead and answer this one. What's wrong with this claim? Yeah, most of you got it. It does not answer the question at all. All right. Everything comes from that prompt. All right, so we understand answering the prompt and taking your position. Now we're going to turn our attention to adding reasons and creating a full thesis statement. All right, now let me go ahead and switch that slide. I'm sorry if you're still typing. I just want to make sure we keep moving. All right, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to form a thesis statement for this question. If you're not a basketball fan, that's okay. You can come up with some random reasons, or you can do a quick research to create a thesis statement. So, who's the better basketball player? LeBron James or Michael Jordan, and why? It's okay just to put the full thesis statement. You don't have to make the answer, just make the thesis statement. That is fine. All right, I'm just looking through answers and pulling a few. All right. All right, I'm going to give you one more minute to finish up your thesis statement, and then we're going to talk about a few of them. Okay, so let's take a look at some of your classmates' answers. Overall, you guys did a really good job. Michael Jordan was great at making the most exciting and famous plays on the court in basketball history. Okay, if this were my thesis statement, I know that you answered that Michael Jordan was the best, and I expect then the famous plays to be discussed in the body paragraphs. Okay. Then LeBron James has higher amount of assists and 3-point percentage compared to Michael Jordan within the last 10 years, proving LeBron James is a better basketball player. Now, this is good, but I would keep it more generalized for the thesis and then drill in and say LeBron James has better stats compared to Michael Jordan within the last 10 years. All right. Although LeBron, oh, there was a question. Yes, Tiana.
Is your okay, so that's not too generalized. Like LeBron James has higher stats than Michael B. Jordan within the last 10 years, proving LeBron James is the better basketball player. That's not too generalized.
I don't think it's too generalized because
Okay.
then I expect you to talk about his stats in throughout their stats, compare and contrast through the paper.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. So the fact that the higher amount of assists and the 3-point percentage, that would be the exact information you would put into your body then. All right. Okay. Although LeBron James has scored more points in his NBA career, Michael Jordan started a dynasty and to this day is still hailed as the king of NBA. That is great. And I know that you have selected Michael Jordan. I know that it's probably going to be comparing how Michael Jordan started his dynasty and who he is. All right. Next up, Michael Jordan was a better basketball player because he has a better final record as well as 2 more rings than LeBron James. Yep, that is fine too. Oh, yep. Yes, Kelly.
So my question is revolving around the factual statements. So when we are writing a paper, isn't it supposed to be on point of view? It's not supposed to state factual evidence, or it's not supposed to be. I mean, our paper is evidence towards our thesis statement. Our thesis statement shouldn't be a factual statement. It should be kind of like open to have that contrast through the paper. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, it depends. So if you're doing a critical analysis or a persuasive or argumentative essay, it's going to be more of your opinion that you have got from your reading and understanding of a certain subject. If you're writing an expository essay, which is your basic like textbook type writing, that would be a factual statement that you've learned from your reading.
Okay, so that all depends on what the requirements are.
Exactly. But this is just the general setup of how you create a thesis statement. Now, some of you took it and you created a more elevated thesis statement, which is great. Some of you kind of stayed more basic. That's fine. The thesis statement, just keep in mind, is your roadmap for the paper. So it's basically telling me what we're going to read about, what your arguments are going to be. And that's why that thesis statement is so important. But when I'm grading, that's what I look for. Does that thesis statement tell me what the paper is going to be about? All right, any questions? Any other questions? All right. Then we're going to go ahead and move on. So another common thread that I saw between papers while I was doing my feedback is that some people are not capitalizing their titles correctly. So capitalization in titles is every word except like articles, like the or a, things like that. And these are just examples of how you would capitalize a title. This is for any articles that you're referencing. They have to be capitalized. And even your title of your essay has to be capitalized correctly. All right. And then on the other side, along with that, is how do we introduce these articles and do it correctly?
Sorry. So even if you're pulling like I think in my paper, one of my supporting quotes, like relevant to the paper, I actually pulled verbatim, right? And it's kind of like a sentence that I'm pulling from there. So it wasn't initially capitalized inside the paper itself.
Is it the title of an article?
No, it's not a title. It's just it just kind of is a sentence, but it's part of an idea. So it wasn't even capitalized inside the
Okay.
paper
Then
itself.
that shouldn't be capitalized then.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're introducing titles in your essays, these are various examples. So if it's a book, For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway, it is italic. All right. That tells me it's a book. Now, in our case, we're working with articles from journals. And it should look like this. In the article, How to Do Good Things by John Smith, we see, if we continue writing, I've seen various variations in multiple papers. You have the quotes, but it's also italicized, or it's just italicized, or it's bolded, or it's in parentheses. This is how it looks in this setup. All right. So whenever you are referencing the title of an article, a song, a poem, short stories, those always have quotes because they're not the larger source. If this article belonged to a journal called How to Do Good Things, the journal was called that, then that would be italicized because it's the full journal. It's a full thing, a full book, essentially. There is one major caveat to all of this is when you're in APA format and you are creating your references page. The references page asks you to put the title of the article in it. You only capitalize the first word of the article and any proper nouns. This is where it gets confusing, but we're going to have some practice on that in a little bit. So this is just for the references page. Also, an additional note on introducing sources. Once you introduce the article fully by the author, and like How to Do Good Things by John Smith, once you've introduced it in the essay, you don't need to keep reintroducing it and writing the whole article title. You can just continue using the author's last name. And this is just a way to declutter your paper and focus on what's important, which is the argument. And by the way, when I say evidence, I mean this is stuff you're pulling from your sources. So paraphrases, quotes, summarizations, what have you. Yep. Yes, Kelly.
So, so one of the sources that I used was I had to do some research on it, but it came from a webpage called The Vox. And when I put it in my reference page, I referenced it exactly how it is to get to the webpage. So on the website, it's all capitalized. So would I continue to keep all the letters capitalized?
No. Just the way I showed you to capitalize on the previous slide.
Yeah.
You would follow that.
Okay.
But yeah. And that is for your references and for the essay writing part of it. Okay, so tell me which one of these is correct. Move your little check mark and put it over the which one of these, excuse me, sentences is correct in introducing a poem. Give you 1 minute to get your answers in. Now this is a poem, so how do I reference this when we're writing? All right, 15 seconds. Try and get your answer in. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these answers. All right, so they're kind of divided. All right, so reading it, Edgar Allan Poe is the author of a poem. And I had said a poem is usually a part of a larger book of multiple poems. So with a poem, it is in quotations. All right. Which one of these is correct? Should we have italics or no italics?
No italics.
No italics. Yep, no italics here. All right, we're going to try another one. All right, so this is a song. All right, take that into consideration as you choose the best answer. All right, 30 seconds, get those answers in. All right, showing responses. Looks like we have the majority over here. This is the correct one. It's a song. A song is typically a part of an album. The album would be italicized, but not in quotations. All right, this is not an album, it's a song, so it is just quoted. The title of the song is quoted. All right, one more. Let's try this one. This is directly related to our essays this time. Yes, Tiana.
Which one was right on the last one? I'm sorry.
It is the one that it's just "This is America" with the quotations, no italic or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. All right, 30 seconds, get those answers in. All right, showing our answers. Majority are over here, which is correct. Again, this is an article. It is not the full journal title, so there's no italics. All right, the only time you should have italics if it's a book, if it's an album, if it's a movie. So think bigger. If it's a big thing, it needs italics. If it's just an article, a song, a poem, a short story, just quotation marks. That is it. Tattoo it on an arm if you need to tattoo it on an arm. No italics if it is an article. All right, any questions? Okay, oh, yes, Kelly.
So even if it's like, so I mean, okay, let me get this straight. So when you're quoting a song, right? A song, even if it's a single, it would obviously go onto an album, which would have the name of the album. So you would put the name of the album. What if the album is named the same as the song? Like, what if it's a standalone song?
That goes down to if you can the words that you use. So for instance, I say the article here. I'm going to go back to the other slide, which has the song. So I tell you, I signal you that it's the song. So if you're saying the song, I would expect you to have the quotes. But if you're saying wrote the album, This is America, then that would be in italics.
Yeah, but I know I understand what you're saying as far as what your direction was, but how do you know in general, like if you're writing a paper and that's the title of the song and it's like its own song, you would put that in italics?
No, I would do the quote still.
Do the quotes as long if it says song and not album?
Yes.
It's basically what it's specified as.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry if I wasn't clear on that.
No, you're Fine, I think you were. I was just pertaining it to your assignment
Okay.
instead of applying it.
Okay. The other thing that I noticed with a lot of people, this specifically with these two authors, a lot of you seem to like this article a lot. You need to cite both Walla and Sullivan when you're doing your in-text citations. You were not just citing Scott Walla. Jessica is an equal writer in that, so she has to be cited as well. All right. Okay, I am going to go ahead and give you a 10-minute break. You can go take a stretch, go to the restroom, get a drink, whatever you have to do. And when we come back, we're going to work on APA and MLA citations. We have about 2 minutes on that break left. All right, guys, we are back. All right, so I'll give you a few seconds to get logged back in. If you got out of that Pear Deck. All right, the next part of our learning is an individual work learning session. So we are using another website, and you should be able to click on that link on your page to open it up. And essentially, you're going to log in. If you have to create an account, that's okay. Create an account. And make sure you use your real name so that I know who completed it. But the first part of this is covering MLA formatting. The second part will cover the differences with APA formatting. And essentially what it is it's kind of a lesson, and then you have questions that you answer after the lesson. Any questions about what you should be working on? All right, no questions. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys work. I will be quiet. Look for it on the web, or did you look up the article on the web, things like that?
Yeah.
I will say I typically do that, but if it takes more than 10 minutes to find information, don't worry about it. Like if you can put the information in and get feedback, get information right back, then definitely include that if you can. But if it takes a while, don't spend your time on it.
Okay.
Okay. And then Sarah, yes, you can always go back and reference that quizzes, MLA and APA assignment. It will always be there for you. And if you haven't finished, you should be able to go back and finish it since it is a lesson. Oh, that's not what I wanted to share. I want to share this one. Yeah.
Is that a graded assignment?
No, it's just practice.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully to refine any remaining issues with APA versus MLA as far as citations go. Does anybody have any other questions about citations in APA? I don't see any. One of the main things that I do want to point out, the period in the sentence that you're quoting or paraphrasing, the period always goes after the in-text citation, the parentheses. I have seen a lot where it is just, there's a period and then the quotation, and then you have the citation and then another period. You don't need the two periods. All the periods go at the end of the citation. And another brief note, make sure everything that is not your own idea, all right, is cited. So if you got it from another source, from that source, it should be cited. All right. Last but not least, we're going to talk a little bit about using Word. And this is going to be kind of a follow along. I'm going to show you a few things because we're still having a few questions on how to get things set up. Obviously, I've provided you templates, but in the instance that you can't get the template to work or you're just trying to do it on your own, this will be kind of a review of how to do that. So give me 1 second. Okay, so I need to change the view on my screen. I'll do this window. Okay. All right, so you should see a blank Word document popping up. Remember, Word is free as a Gateway student, so you need to be using Word. The reason we use Word, if at all possible, is because it is more powerful than Google Documents. All right, so the very first thing, both MLA and APA format require 1-inch margins all the way around. And you can do that, make sure it's 1 inch. The default is 1-inch margins when you open it up, so you shouldn't have to change anything, but if you do, it's under layout. And then you click margins over here, and of course 1-inch margins all the way around. All right, so we've got that. So APA has a running head, right? Let me start back here. Oops. Let me go back to home. All right, so before I get started on anything else, I want to make sure everything is double spaced, right? We know that in our work, it needs those 2 spaces. So you click on this little button, so with the 2 arrows up and down, and then you need to first click remove space after paragraph, and then you go back and then you choose 2.0. And that automatically sets up your entire paper to be double spaced. So you got that out of the way, you don't have to worry about. Now, one of the issues that I have seen constantly, not just in this class, but in other classes, is that we're not getting the header and the page numbers up into the header. You are putting it down in the body of the paper. So for instance, if we had the running head here, it's here, and then you tab over and you put the page number in. Oops. Okay, so that's great, but it doesn't, let me move on. Give me a second. By the way, I am recording this, so it will be available to you afterwards if you need to go back and reference it. So if you put it in the body, which some of you have probably encountered, you have to enter that information back in on the second page. That's not something that we need to do, okay? It should be in what we call the header. So to get to the header, you can click View. I think it was View. They move things around on me all the time. All right, but anyway, the way I do it, it's the shortcut. You just double click on the top part and it says header. So that means the header is active right now. So if I put the running head in here, or the running head even, okay, you can do that, and then you insert page number. Oops. Header and footer, page number. We want it at the top of page, we want it on the right hand side. And of course, it does take some moving around to get it where you want it. But, and of course, it's causing me problems right now. This is why it's much easier to use the template. Let me try this again. All right, top of page, all the way on the right hand side. I'll do it the other way. All right, so the running head is here, and you just tab over and it is listed there. All right, and then when you want to get out of that, you just double click back in the body of the essay. And if you go down into the next page, it automatically includes the running head and the page number that it should be. Okay, that is one of the main, honestly, one of the main issues I'm seeing that kind of messes up the formatting. So please make sure those are in the heading. All right. Then, of course, with APA, we start with the title page. The other thing that I noticed is that the running head and the title were often different. The thing is, they have to be the same. And the idea here is if you're running around with your essay and it's 20 pages and it's not stapled or anything, and you get into an accident with someone and it flies all over the place and it mixes with their essay, you're able to tell your essay from the other person's essay because it has that distinctive running head based on your title. Okay.
The only issue I ran into with that was that you had stated on the template that it is a requirement to have it 4 words or less. And you said if it's longer than that, condense it. But my title is more than 4 words.
Okay, let me show you that. I'll show you an example of that. Ellie, can you put the title of your essay in the chat for me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so using this objective and subjective happiness through education. All right, so that is the full title. When I say only 4 words, you use the first 4 words. And the with the running head, we don't need the full title if it is a long title. If it's 4 words, that it's easy, we can still manage to find in that hypothetical accident scenario, we can still get the pieces of your essay back together with the first 4 words. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and put that up there so we can see that. Objective and subjective happiness. There we go. Okay. Then we have the author's name. Oh, your name. Butler. These might be out of order, but that is okay. Department of English, Gateway. And it just depends on what your specific professor requires as far as this page goes. Gateway Community College. And then, of course, we have the date. Okay. So we have that here. We have nothing else to do on this page. We move down to the second page, and this is where the body of our essay starts. To start off the essay, we need the title in bold. All right, so the title's in bold. Hit enter again. Now, I've seen a lot of people who just start typing, but it's centered. The body of your essay should not be centered. It needs to be left justified. So make sure up here you are hitting the left justification and take the bold off. And then, most importantly, paragraphs are indented. All right, and that you indent by pressing tab on your keyboard once. This is the introduction paragraph. You give a general background and then develop a strong thesis statement. Yes, Tiana.
Are we allowed to go to the paragraph thing and just do the hanging indent
What do you
instead
mean?
of pressing tab?
You have more control by pressing tab.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and then obviously, then if you have a second body paragraph, you just hit enter once, and then, or your first body paragraph is here. So you see here between these 2 paragraphs, it is an equal space to this. I'm seeing a lot of people that this is a larger open space between 2 paragraphs. That is because this has not been switched off. The remove space after paragraph has not been switched off. So you can see the first body paragraph move when I hover over it, and it makes it too big. So that is what I'm referring to when that is a problem. All right, and then we know how to write the essay. And then, of course, we do have the references page, which should be its own page. Oops. This is also bold. Take the bold off and left justify.
Now, I do have a question. So for every page that you're writing, so you have multiple page essay, do you have to put the title of the essay in every page in bold?
No, just
the
that.
first page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Now with APA, you do have the option of headings and subheadings, but those are more for your longer and more scientific based papers. If you have to write something like that later on in your education. All right, and now for references. Give me one moment. I'm going to pull an APA reference. All right, I need to copy this. Okay, so this is an APA referenced article. What we see here is a hanging indent. This is important. Any line after the first line of the reference that you use needs to be indented like this. Now, it does take some finagling, pressing enter and tab and getting it to work correctly. And it sometimes is completely annoying, but it's just one of those things that you have to do for APA and MLA formatting when you're doing your citations at the end. Now, this came up exactly how it's supposed to be because I pulled it from mybib.com, which automatically does that for you. All right. And the other thing is these need to be alphabetized. So my other reference is an M, starts with an M. So he would go before. Oops.
So the references needs to be in order?
Yep. In alphabetical order.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Any specific questions or how to do something on Word that you have a question about? All right, I don't see any questions. Now, I will accept. Yes, absolutely, Roger. I will accept Calibri font, but the perfect super special font is 12 point times New Roman for all essays. 12 point times New Roman. And Daisy, what was your question? I can't hear you.
I
Maybe
can
type
hear you,
in.
Daisy.
Okay, yeah, just type it then. I don't know why it's not working on my computer.
I can't hear her either.
Okay. All right, while Daisy is typing that, I do want to bring up, but not really focus on, the ability to make comments within a document, which is something that we're going to be doing next week. But where are we? Review. So you would go to the review tab. It opens up, and then this is where you make your comments. You essentially highlight the area that you want, and then you make a comment and leave your comment. And we'll discuss more why this is important next week, but I just kind of wanted to start paving the way.
Do we have to do it through Word, or can we do it through Canvas when you apply your feedback?
So this isn't for feedback. You can do the feedback for essays on Canvas. That's fine. This is for another assignment that we're going to do next week.
Okay.
Yeah. And Daisy, in my header and page, I've struggled with, but I have followed your example. What happens is that in my odd pages, it does not include the title, just the page number. I'm not sure how I could fix that. Okay, Daisy, we will take a look at your paper specifically. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Give me 1 second to pull it up. That's not what I wanted. There we go. All right, so just as a reminder, everyone, this is her rough draft, so I'm not sure if she made any other changes to it yet, but let me open this up. Okay. So does it still look something like this? Oh, I have to switch it again. Hold on 1 second. Stop sharing. Window. Okay. Does it still look like this? Is the education equals income down here at the underneath? Daisy?
If Tiana can hear her, maybe it'll be faster if Tiana can just say what she's saying.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, I can hear you, Daisy. She said that on the odd pages that she's doing, the page numbers, they're not coming up for her. So she said that she changed it to at least saying 1 on the top.
Okay, so is there a setting there? Okay. I can see what the issue is. There is a table up there. You can see that through, oops, let me click on this. Do you see it says insert like columns and things like that? So for whatever reason, there's a table in there, and that is why it's not showing up, I believe. So you're going to want to make sure you delete that. And then the other thing is you have it on first page header. That's why it's not showing up. So there is a way that you can fine tune this and have a different front page header than all your other pages. but we want to take that off. We want to make sure that it is a header for everything. So go to header, and you want to edit the header. Forget how to fix this. I haven't had to do this in a while. Give me one moment. Oh, it's over here. So you click off different first page and different odd and even pages, and then it'll show up appropriately. So insert page number, top of page, right hand side, and then the number comes up here. You're very welcome. I'm glad we could get that figured out. Yeah, and just make sure that your running head is also education is key. Put that in the header as well. All right, any other specific questions? That was a good example. Okie dokie. We're not going to save that. Stop presenting. I'm going to switch the screen. This recording of class will also be obviously available to you, so you can go back and reference it if you need it. But that brings us then to our homework for the week. So it's a fairly easy, light week. You need to read the introduction to essay number 3 in Canvas. And let me show you really quick. Obviously, your final draft of your critical analysis essay is due today. Excuse me. It is due today by the end of the day. But you will focus on reading this assignment here. Oh, I forgot I'm not sharing. You'll read this assignment here, and then you can start looking for sources, but you do not have to complete this assignment. This assignment is what we will be working on next week. But if you would like to start looking for the sources so you have them already, you can do that. All right, so there's nothing physically you have to turn in by the end of the week. It's just reading and gathering information. All right, any questions about homework? All right, I don't see any questions. Any other general questions? Yep, correct, Daisy. Absolutely. So you're reading the introduction and you're starting to collect the information that you're going to need. Essentially, what it's going to turn into is 3 articles, but reading through the introduction and everything will explain what type of articles you need to find.
So when we're writing our paper, the header and the title is something we come up with.
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay, that was like copying like the article. Okay.
Yeah. And then Ian is essay. Yes, essay 3 will be the last essay. We have some other things that are embedded in it, so we're gonna create an advertisement and stuff like that based on your specific essay. But it will take us to the end of the term for us. And then we do have our final is a reflection essay, which no sources or research or anything like that. It's just you writing what you learned. But we'll do that reflection essay on our last meeting class on the 15th. Yep. Okay. If you have no further questions, then I'm going to go ahead and release you a little bit early. I look forward to reading your final drafts, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and I will see you on Saturday. You are
Have a
very
good
welcome,
week.
Helen.
Thank you.
You too, Tiana. Bye. Bye, Daisy. Bye, Ian. Bye, Roger.